everyone, we're your hosts, Chelsea
and Robin.
And this is Don't Mind If We Do.
Finally, a relatable podcast for women where we can talk about whatever we want.
Don't mind if we do.
I'm gonna wanna get crazy. Anything but behaving like you do. Make you. Oh, don't mind if we do.
Welcome back to Don't Mind If We Do. Today is an exciting and little bit of a long episode, but definitely worth listening right to the end. Robin has her own personal coaching session basically on this show. How did you feel about that?
Well, I just threw it up there. Like I didn't anticipate that we were going to do that. It was sort of impromptu.
I like
so
it.
yeah, I felt comfortable in the moment because these women are so good at what they do.
So amazing.
So thank you to Lara.gregory and Antonia Medeiros.
Yes. Both beautiful ladies who are super lovely and have given us lots of amazing information to go with. And they are both coaches. So lots of people are coaches these days. There's lots of coaching programs. There's lots of coaching stuff. Did you know what a coach was before today?
I did, only because I feel like I've been exposed to a lot of places that you really focus on women's empowerment. And I think this is a big up and coming trend. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I don't mean that it's a bad trend. I mean that it actually is a trend that I think will stick. Yeah. And that people can definitely benefit from in a way that it can be a long-term thing or it can be a short-term thing, depending on where you're at in your life. But you have used for a while a sales coach, right?
Yeah. So I didn't really know what coaches do and that they did different things and that there was specified topics that they do. And then I was at an eWomen conference in Dallas, and one of the ladies in our group, she said, "Oh, well, you're not good at sales? You don't like sales? Talk to Sharon Rose. She's a sales coach." I'm like, oh, sales coach. So she doesn't coach you on your life.
Okay.
She just literally coaches you on how to sell. I didn't even know that was a thing.
I didn't know that was a thing either.
She is amazing.
That's an example of something I didn't.
Exactly.
So she helps you with your business, how to sell your business.
How to sell. She's been in sales since she was 18. Her name is Sharon Rose McNeil with Honor Sales. And she's just lovely. And she helps you with, like, there's different booklets and work activities. And then she just she's focused on your business and how to sell. And it's totally different than a life coach. So there's so many different coaching things available.
And so many different elements. And that's the thing. Like, in sport, obviously I have a weightlifting coach, Rachel Siemens, who is amazing. But I think in the traditional sense, we always think of coaching as in sport coaching. We haven't thought of it before as in life brain coaching.
Totally.
Mind blown.
Yeah. Mind blown. So before we get into that, because it might be a little stressful for you, let's have a drink.
Yeah, let's do it.
For sure. So this is somewhat local. This is local to BC.
Okay.
Crack it. To be honest, we already cracked it.
Yeah.
So that was a fake one. But it is called Workshop. Well, cheers. It's delicious. Let's see. Let's see for that. Okay. Oh, it's fizzy. It's Pink Lemonade Hard Seltzer.
Oh, I like that a lot.
Isn't it so good?
It's not.
Do you actually like it?
I do actually like it because you know why? And I don't know. I don't know that I've ever publicly said this before. I don't love the taste of alcohol.
I think you've said that many times. Yeah.
Then I don't love the taste of alcohol, and this tastes like just seltzer and fun pink stuff.
So it's made in Penticton. I actually went there in the summer, and it is pink lemonade. I'm trying to find the thing, but there's nothing on it. But it's sugar-free, 90 calories, made with real fruit. We'll just say it's fat-free.
It's really good. So out of Penticton, called Workshop, and it's perfect for today because we are going in deep. We are going into the workshop with Lara and with Antonia. So this is perfect.
So one more cheers.
Cheers.
Good luck to you, friend. We are here with my lovely friends, Antonia and Lara, who are now also Robin's lovely friends, Antonia and Lara. Ladies, why don't you introduce yourselves to everyone who's listening with your amazing jobs that you have?
Sure. Would you like to go first, Antonia?
Sure, I'll go first. So my name is Antonia, and I am a life and empowerment coach. So I work as a life coach, and I specialize in female self-empowerment. So my job is to help women become the best version of themselves.
I love this.
And even that means, you have to, throughout your life, you go through different phases, and every time you have to learn how to give birth to yourself again. And sometimes it's complicated, and I support women with all of that. And for that, I use emotional intelligence, because emotions are super important and a very intuitive way to relate to others and to relate to the world. And I also use storytelling. I'm an author also, so understanding how to look at your life as a unfolding, interesting and fascinating story.
She's a world-renowned,
That's what I do also.
critically acclaimed author.
Ooh, that's very exciting.
I'm not
Yeah.
critically
We've
acclaimed.
critically-
awards.
Thank you.
We've just critically acclaimed it.
Yeah.
Again, we do
Okay,
that on the
fine.
show.
Actually, yeah,
Okay.
we do this a lot for
It's a
people.
thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
so now you can just tell people that you are.
Now you are critically
I'll
acclaimed.
take it.
Good.
I'll take it.
Lara, what about you?
Thank you. Lara, my name's Lara, obviously. I'm an intimacy coach, and so I work with adults to support them to navigate their relationships, to cause deeper intimacy, and to ignite their sex lives. So I work
Whoa!
Yeah. It's fun work. I work with people one-to-one. I work with people as couples. The main tool is pleasure. So I don't know. I feel like questions usually follow that one. I do both one-on-one and online work. So it depends on what people need. But it's all around voice, choice, expanding your pleasure capacity for both healing and just because that's our birthright.
Right.
Yeah.
I have lots of questions.
Okay.
Robin
First,
always
though,
has questions.
I want to ask one to both of you, and that is, if you had to describe it, what exactly would you say is coaching? A lot of people understand what coaching is in terms of a sports coach, but when they hear life coach or transformation coach or intimacy coach, we don't really know what that means, and so I think a lot of people shy away from exploring it further. If you had somebody that was listening and was second guessing that and not really understanding what that meant, what do you want to say to them? What is it exactly that you do? Antonia, let's start with you. Great question.
Excellent question. Fundamental question, because we can't continue this conversation without understanding. First of all, I'll tell you what it's not. It's not therapy. It's not consultation.
Shoot.
All right? First of all. Agreed, Lara?
Agreed.
Good. What is a coach? For me, a coach is somebody who looks at you as full of solutions instead of full of problems. I like to say to my clients that sometimes we're in a difficult time and we just lost the key to the solution. And as coaches, we're here to help you find that key again. The second thing about coaching is that a coach is not supposed to tell you what to do. A coach is there to reconnect you with who you are and what is right for you. I'm not the expert in your life. You are. I'm just going to guide you through this.
I am? Okay, well...
I am the expert in your life, though, so
That is true.
I will
Okay,
continue to
things
tell
are
you what
different
to
on
do.
this podcast. All right.
And I would say the third thing about coaching is that a coach is somebody that looks towards the future. So takes you as a whole with everything that you've done before, mistakes, not mistakes, different paths, different identities, and now is looking forward. How can we work together to make sure that the next chapter is one that resembles you and where you can truly expand yourself and become that person you were always meant to be? So I'd say that that's what a coach is. So a coach can come in at different times in people's lives. A coach, a lot of people call themselves coaches, and that's a mistake. Mm-hmm. Coaches, real coaches, are trained. They have a specific, training to take people places. We have specific methods. And we are also trained to be able to say to someone, you know what, you actually don't need me. You need therapy, or you need this person, or this is where you should go next. That is also part of our training. So I would say that this is what a coach in general is. And then we all have specialties, like Lara and I, in different niches, because we can't fix everything and everyone.
You can't?
No.
Aw. Shoot. Did that, how do you feel now?
That was really
do you
good.
understand now?
Lara, I want to go to you and tell us about what an intimacy coach does then, knowing what we've just heard from Antonia, because I want to know, like, it's not always with other people, right? It's also discovering intimacy within ourselves, and not everyone is great at self-intimacy and even just getting to know themselves on that level.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You said that exactly perfectly right. Yeah, we
Can I work for you? I'm hired. Okay, I'm going to work for you.
You just got a
marketing
job.
team.
I just got a job.
Yes.
It's me. Yeah.
So intimacy coaching, in terms of, like, if we put in the context of what I do, because there's many, I know a bunch of people who do this work and we all do it a little bit differently. definitely starting with self, even if someone's coming to me as a couple and saying like relational stuff isn't working for us, I usually work with them as two individuals and as a couple, often at the same time. And we're definitely looking for you to get connected to yourself in a very truthful, authentic way. A lot of us have a lot of defense mechanisms, survival mechanisms that we've learned growing up, because that's how we get through life. And I'm helping you kind of peel those back and and strengthen your relationship with your essence and who you truly are. Like the you before the world kind of changed us and had us learn to defend ourselves, and maybe some pain happened or some loss happened, or we just didn't learn the things we could have learned. So I do things from a very embodied somatic perspective, which means I bring a lot of tools to get you into your body, which from my perspective is kind of where the authentic self starts. So many of us are very heady. Our culture is very head oriented. We want to help people get those connected and working together and being very well versed with our body as well. So intimacy could be with self, and most people want to expand that to be able to have a truer, deeper connection with other human beings on some level. Does that help answer?
I love that. I wanted to ask you specifically, and because I have a couple of friends that I know right now that are going through this with their partners, where they're at a point in their lives, I'm 47. Most of my friends are around that same age, between 40 and say 55 or whatever. And I know for a fact that a few people are going through things like, it's a next step or a next step transformation in their lives, where maybe one of the partners is either on a medication or there's something going on medically, where they're not able to be really sexually active with their partners anymore. Is that something that you can help people with? Like if something's going through that, what's a number one tip for somebody? Because I do know quite a few couples that are in this kind of a situation.
Yeah, thank you for asking that. And that is definitely something I support people around. My number one tip would be to do everything you can to be open to expanding the ways in which you can experience pleasure. Most of us have learned sex according to some kind of a script, and there's sort of a handful of ways we get to do it, and the rest we don't even know is out there and a possibility. So being willing to expand the ways connection and our bodies can feel good can completely send you on a new trajectory or a new path in terms of your sensuality and your sexuality, right? Does that make sense? So we're getting a little it helps you move beyond genitals and the orgasm the way we kind of have taught it to be, and into like full body pleasure. There's just so much available there.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I love full body pleasure. And also the fact that, when you're with somebody, and again, Chelsea and I both happen to be single at this point in our lives, but we have been obviously in long-term relationships. When you're with somebody for a long time, I think that's achievable more at that level. Do you know what I mean? Like that's definitely achievable more.
Connection gets deeper.
For sure.
But it's what's interesting and
there's lots of fun available. Sorry, I was going to say there's lots of fun available there too.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because this is something that I see and Lara, I'm sure, sees also all the time, is that fine balance between being with someone and being yourself. And that's difficult because, a lot of the things that I work around is how a lot of women, and not just women, because I do work with men also, but that how you lose yourself sometimes, in a relationship, in your motherhood, in your, so it's for everything in life is how do we find that fine balance between who we are and how we want to show up for the people that are within our lives, and how not to lose ourselves in there.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Very important and very common is my experience as well, Antonia. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now you two ladies got together a bit before this show to chat about something that you guys potentially can share with our listeners.
Damn, Lara, do we really have to tell them everything that we said?
Chelsea's like, or did I just
we
make
want
that up?
all your secrets. Yeah. Did I
as part of our coaching certification here at Don't Mind If We Do, we need to pull out of you,
exactly,
and empower you both to tell us what
all
it is.
the free tips on how to be awesome.
Yeah, please.
And go.
Start.
So
I think part of the, are you good if I'm totally transparent about what we talked about, Antonia?
Absolutely.
I think part of what I know we spoke about was wanting to help people understand what we already just did, which is like what is coaching, because we know that's a thing people it's relatively new in the world of professions, right?
Yeah.
And historically,
And it's very common.
yeah, it's very common, and that title gets attached to a lot of different types of services, and they're not all the same. So, but we also talked about how to differentiate, how people would know the difference between what Antonia offers and what I offer, because they are quite distinctly different. Even though we are both trained as coaches primarily. Yeah.
Yeah, I've asked you guys when I first met you, like, what is the difference between what you both offer? So, perfect.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I think there's overlap, and then there's just definitely overlap and definitely some distinct things. But yeah, go ahead, Antonia.
No, I would
maybe
just
doesn't get said.
Just confirm that. I think that, again, as coaches, it's important for us that people understand what we do. And that also people normalize not feeling great in their minds or in their bodies. It's okay. If you don't feel okay, doesn't mean something's wrong with you. It just means that just learn to listen to your body, to your mind, to what you're experiencing, and say, okay, maybe I need to reach out to someone and figure out what this is all about. This is just a sign. Somebody's sending you a message. Your body, your mind is sending you a message to tell you something in the equation is not quite right anymore. Which piece are you going to change so you can move forward? That's all it is. Because how we tend to always think everything's wrong with us. Oh my God, something must be crazy. I'm the problem. No, something is not right. Let's see how it can be something better for you.
Well, and I'm assuming this would be definitely especially intense in times of transformation in your life. So if you're going through a major change, like, maybe becoming a mother or a father for the first time, or maybe doing something new for the first time. A lot of people lost their jobs during COVID, right? So maybe going through a job loss, a relationship loss. Like, I'm assuming, is that kind of when you tend to start seeing a lot of people come and say, I want to be able to figure out the answers to my own questions. Because if my understanding properly, that's kind of what you do with coaching. You help people discover what the answers are that are already inside of them.
Yes. Definitely, yes.
Whoa, you could be a coach.
Oh my God. Can I be on the team?
I've certified you now as one.
Assistant coach.
Okay, assistant is fair.
Coach.
Yeah.
So you're a marketer and our assistant coach now. You've got two jobs. And I can speak from my experience is definitely a lot of people look to hire a coach, or what I do when they're in some struggle or some major change. As humans, when things hurt or are uncomfortable, we do look for ways to, have that not be a permanent experience, right? We want to move away from the pain. And what I think is really especially amazing about coaching is that, yes, we can help you move past that into experiencing life differently in a much more empowered. I think, Aaron, you pulled that. I just made up your name.
Who's Aaron? Where's Aaron?
I don't know. I'm looking at Aaron, who's not Aaron. Robin. I think you remind me.
I can also go by Aaron if you prefer Aaron for me.
That's your new name.
You remind me very
Aaron.
much of two people in my actual life, so I think that's where that came from.
Ooh, good.
You're not in her actual life.
I'm not actually in real life. I'm not in real life. Okay, that's not where I exist.
Radio life.
Yeah.
But what coaching can do is pull you, forward out of what's maybe quite painful. And again, as Antonia said, not that we're always trying to get away from all the darker and harder emotions, because they're invaluable in our life and our growth. But we also can support people. So often people will get out of pain and then kind of quit coaching. That's what I see a lot, or want to. And it's really key to stay the course for a while, because transformation actually is like past that point, and where you're creating what we call like once and for all change. So like as in things shift permanently for you. And that's what we want to support people to get to, I think. Because that's
some of us just drink.
Yeah, one of us drinks
Robin.
a lot.
Robin
that's
is
not me.
Robin drinks to cover up.
Good try.
Things. By Robin, I mean me.
Well, it's interesting. A lot of the clients I work with I feel like when we kind of summarize the work we did together when we closed service, half of what we have done is supported them to have a much more comfortable relationship with the full bandwidth of their emotions, because they just can't be with all of the emotions they experience. That's a pretty common human thing. And when people can make that shift, and it happens over time with support and practices, you can see someone like feeling the full breadth of the highs and the lows much more, and just be like, like kind of like, cool, this is life. Like I'm experiencing all of it and then carrying on with the things that are important to them rather than it stopping them dead in the tracks and maybe taking them out for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think learn and helping them live with those emotions, when they arise and greet them as an extraordinary reading of the world around them. It's a source of empowerment. This is what we help them understand. And it gives them incredible tools to become, really the person that they want to be. Emotions are there for that. They are valid. They're not there to destroy you. They're there to hold you, support you, empower you.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And I think the other piece around coaching too, Antonia, I feel like I hope I'm right that this is a stance, and if not, please add in. But that there's no right or wrong. Like there's no pathologizing of human behavior in my work, including sexual behavior that a lot of us have been taught is abnormal. There's absolutely no abnormal and no unhealthy, and no pathologizing. So we're supporting you as a whole human, but there can be things that aren't working for you. Who I don't even want to quote.
Like being single.
Yeah, how's that working for you? Is it what you want? If it's a no, then we can support you to move towards what you truly want.
Exactly, and I think that support in the loss. And I'll give you, I'll give you one example. That I found.
Yeah, please, because I think if we had an example, it would be good too.
Yes.
Like without obviously giving names or anything like that, but just
use Robin.
Yeah,
name.
Use the name Robin as a case study.
Yeah, I had this client named Robin.
We should use Erin since Erin has been there but not there.
I introduced Erin into the conversation.
Yeah.
Let's do
did.
it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Now I'll share a story that I've experienced, and I was very touched by this because I think it happens more often than not. One of my clients came to me, and she was in her mid-40s. She was a very successful lawyer, and had worked really her ass off. Let's say it, from a young age to really get to that top of the mountain, to have a seat at the table, to become a partner. We don't know how many hours and hours of work that requires, sacrifices she made in her relationships, choices she made. For example, not becoming a mother, which is a complicated choice sometimes, because of social pressure, whatever. And then she gets there and she finally has everything that she wants. She's in her mid-40s, and, she came to me and she said, you know what? I don't want this anymore. And this is so devastating when you have invested so much time and you think this is who you are. And all of a sudden, well, where do you begin with this, right? And this happens very frequently because as women, we are constantly reinventing ourselves. We are constantly, changing our identities, when we're now 20s, then we're mothers, then we're partners, then we're daughters, and it's changing all the time. And this is what we worked on is like, okay, well, now this is actually an opportunity, right? But the amount of loss that comes with that, what is it that we have to let go of now for you to become this next person? And what is it that you've learned that you love, that triggers joy in you, that you want to keep on your journey with you?
And there it is. And I love that you said that, Antonia, because I feel like it's joy and whether or not we feel that drives us, right? Like here's this amazing, accomplished woman who has everything that she thinks she always wanted, and yet she gets there and she's not fulfilled. She's not happy. And when you're not happy, you can't make somebody else happy, right? So it's a trickle down effect, and then that affects intimacy. Oh my God, look at me. I should work there.
You're just moving up to full coach.
Together, Robin.
Yeah. Wow. Robin's working on her coaching business.
I'm working on
today.
my coaching business on the side. Okay, this is actually why we did this episode, because I'm about to announce my competitive coaching business against the two of you. I'm just kidding. No.
That's right.
No, but I don't know. I feel like we actually see that a lot. I feel like it, especially in midlife, right? We're like, oh, this is what we always wanted to do. This is what we're doing, and we're really good at it. And
you're happy with it.
I see absolutely. And I will say, just to finish on that, a lot of my clients are in their mid-30s to 40s and over. Why? Because I believe that is the best time of our life as women. We don't talk about it enough. It's we think that we're 40, we have kids, and then we menopausal, and then nothing happens in between. No, we're not.
Yikes.
We are at the best time of our life in terms of wisdom, in terms of strength, in terms of knowing what we want on all levels, including on a
That's true.
sexual point of view. And I think we need to talk more about that.
You just made Chelsea really nervous that her life might be over in a couple of years.
My life just getting started, baby.
Right?
Yes.
It's just coming up.
I have a lot of joy in my job.
Yeah. And it's very true. Experientially, I agree. Like on a personal experience level, each decade, life gets like more amazing, and we get a lot stronger, I think, in our voice and more empowered in how we live our lives. It can just grow and grow and grow and grow decade by decade. Yeah.
Yep.
I love that. And Tony, I wanted to ask you, because I noticed something on your website that you talk about, and that is something called Imposter Syndrome. Can you explain what this is? Because it goes along that lines of really successful women, and I've heard other very successful women talk about it. What is that, and why does it affect us so much as women?
It's people that pretend they're coaches and aren't. That's
Shoot!
what it is.
Oh my God, it's me!
Literally.
Okay.
Yeah, literally, it's you.
So, imposter syndrome can manifest itself in various ways, but I think that the one that I see the most is, for example, somebody who is successful. So you look at that person from the outside, you'll see she's very successful. You know, she's kind of ticking the boxes that, are measures of success. And that person, in her head, or in his head, because it happens also with men, thinks that they don't deserve a place at the table. They're still not good enough. They're a fake. They have no right to speak up and be that person that they, that role that they're supposed to have. It happens a lot in the workplace. So being an imposter is feeling that you're taking the seat that you do not deserve. Okay? Just in simple ways. So it can be, an important position. It can be somebody changing jobs, let's say, who wants to become a coach, wink, wink, Robin, and thinking,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Taking a seat that's not yours.
I'm just over here changing all my information.
And then thinking, who am I to, help other people? And so this is the kind of language and story that people who have imposter syndrome keep on talking to themselves. Right? And it stops them from pushing forward. It stops them from having the self-confidence that they need. It stops them sometimes from doing anything. They can become completely frozen. So that's what imposter syndrome is. And I think it comes, and Lara, I would love you to answer on your perspective with that. But for me, in terms of somebody who is fascinated by women's evolutions and women's identity, of course, we still are at a time where the inheritance that we have as women is very strong, where we were told to be small. You sit, you're pretty, but please don't make too much noise. So, that the way we grew up. And this is how our mothers sometimes were brought up, and our grandmothers, and there's still a little bit of that there. Where that confidence is not always there. So this idea that we don't deserve it, and that we have to stay small sometimes, and we have to put others before us. All of these things are I think, why imposter syndrome is still there, and that's why it's important for women to get the support that they need so they can overcome that, because this is all about the story you're telling yourself.
I actually know a lot of photographers who have imposter syndrome, and they admit it themselves because it's more work than it looks like. Mm-hmm. It's more education and more things involved, but they feel bad making decent money with it. So they undercharge themselves because they don't feel like they can charge what they should be charging.
Yes.
And then when they do make the money, they feel really bad about it. But then all these groups we're in, everyone who jumps in, like, how much money have you put into your education? How much time have you spent? Your time is worth all that.
Yeah.
And a lot of them can't get past the
exactly.
that part.
And it's about how much value do you give yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I give myself way too much, I think. That's very high on the value level over here.
It's good value. It's good value, though.
Yeah, it's good
work.
value. Yeah.
Yep.
Lara, I'd love your input on this.
Yeah, I can definitely add to that. You honestly, you literally could have just told my story when I was in social services and moved up into management. That was literally like the whole experience. But actually, the two examples you just gave combined was me about 10 years ago, right? Where I followed the career path and then found myself heading up towards executive director, which is where I wanted to go, and found out I didn't like anything about that work, and my life was miserable. And I was alone. I didn't like where I lived. I was in a relationship, and I wanted to be one. I didn't like my coworkers all that much. Like nothing was good. Right? And I went, this was not how it was supposed to go, right?
No.
And then I also remember being at that table because I had a lot of ideas and places I wanted to take that organization, and second guessing myself like constantly, right? Because that to me that was part of that imposter syndrome for sure. Imposture. I just made that a new way to say
Imposter.
that.
I'm having imposter syndrome right now.
That's right. So am I.
Yeah.
But
Can stuff like imposter syndrome though trickle over into your intimate life though, and how you feel about yourself, and then how you
Yes.
show up with other
Totally.
people, right? Like that's
absolutely, it totally can. And I think, I mean, it looks the same. We just, I think, use different language to talk about it. Is how I would imagine that for most people. I work often with. I work probably equally 50-50 men and women, but lately more men have been kind of knocking at my door to ask for support. And what the biggest thing I notice, or the most common thing I'm hearing, is men's relationship to their masculinity, and they feel like complete imposters as men. Like they aren't measuring up, and they're not a man. They're not measuring up to what they learned a man is supposed to be. And that, like, it's a really painful experience for them and can be quite crippling in their life. Like, and you'll often see it span out career, personal life, family relationships, like all of the relationships and all of the main life, I guess, paths. And it's amazing to hear when if I actually ask how they define masculine or being a man, I'm just like, whoa, like, where did you learn that from? Like, I know where they learned it from, but it's like, it is like
I'm curious.
Superman.
Lara, can you tell us like what are sort of some of the definitions that are coming up for men? Like what do they see?
Yeah. Well, they definitely feel like their body is supposed to look a certain way, like muscular, athletic, big, strong.
Dad bods are in right now.
That's right. Just saying, right? That's
Yeah,
what they
dad
are.
bods are making a comeback.
Yeah.
For all
They
the men
feel-
listening out there.
That's right. So don't judge yourself. It's okay.
Yeah. We like a good dad bod.
I also hear them talk about not measuring up in bed. As you can imagine with aging too, right? Our bodies change, our response and everything changes for all of us. And so as soon as that isn't like the 20-year-old self, that
hard.
starts to set in because there's definitely still messaging out there that men are somehow supposed to be like a 20-year-old in terms of their body's ability, to have an erection, their body's ability to do that until like they die, which is not quite, reality. I also hear a lot of talk, I hear commonly, they feel like they must lead at all and be kind of in power at all times in relating to women, both in the relationship and in the bedroom. Yet, that may not actually match up with their own erotic preferences and desires, right? I've worked with men who aren't necessarily completely heterosexual and don't know how to navigate that because they still want to meet and fall in love with and marry a woman and have a family. Because it's not like it's either or for them. So a lot of it is like navigating. I end up supporting a lot of people who are navigating the so-called non-normative way of living and helping them figure out how to make peace with that and live it, if that makes sense. Yeah. And a lot of self-acceptance work, right? Because when I hear them describe what they think is a man, it's actually a bit ironic because they're actually describing what gets called toxic, what we're now terming toxic masculinity. And I'm like, in my mind, quietly, I'm like, no, you don't want to be that. but that's what they've been taught, right? From day one. Right. And overtly taught not to have emotions and, even punished for having them. And there's a lot that goes on in the raising of men that creates, a 40 to 50-year-old man who is highly frustrated and discouraged and not empowered either. Yeah.
It's interesting.
But they can
right?
be. It can change.
Yeah, because as women, we never get to hear about that side of things unless you are with a man.
Date somebody who tells you that you are unempowering them.
Yes.
Not saying any names. But.
Yeah, and that's like complex, not easy to navigate thing, right? Us being empowered in ourselves, but also supporting our partner to be as well. Like, because it's not, we don't want either or. We don't want him flattened so we can be empowered, or the other way around, right? How do we navigate everything we've learned, let go of what's not helping us anymore? How do we I'm going to use the word empowered, gets used so much, but empower each other to be all of who we can be, and to be like incredibly loving, supportive, authentic partners to each other in life and in love and in family and in bed. But all of them.
I was just going to say, I feel like we are like that, but minus the in bed part.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We could be in bed, but
I can help you with that if you'd like.
Okay.
Well,
all right.
been there, done that.
Available
It's not my
this
thing,
podcast.
but
Okay, that's
right.
You've signed
We'll
us
talk
up.
about it.
Okay, that's right.
I think Antonia, were you going to add something there? I could. Oh, okay.
I just love these conversations because, when you really take a step back, you realize that men and women struggle exactly. They're very similar in many ways. Yeah. And for me, this is about what we call masculinity and femininity, and understanding that men and women carry both within them. And we can only reach an equilibrium when we both understand that men have feminine aspects in them in the same way women have masculine, and is how we can create the balance between the two. This is where joy, play, happiness exist, is in the combination and equilibrium of both.
I love being in the presence of the two of you because I feel quite calm, and like you would solve all of our
you are
lives'
quiet.
problems, right? Yeah, like it would be like...
Quieter as this conversation.
You noticed? I know, right?
Now I'm deep into it. Yeah.
She's deep in thought.
Into it.
What are you thinking?
No,
Tell
I
us,
like it.
Robin. Robin, I'm going to ask you, what are you thinking right now when you hear these coaching ideas and conversations? What are you feeling right now?
I find it interesting for me that, I've spent most of my life single. Like, I've had periods of time where I've been in relationships, but for the most part, I've lived my life as a single woman. And a big piece for me, and this is probably more maybe on the Lara end, but maybe both of you would have feedback on it, is that I feel like maybe people feel like it's hard to get close to me. I think I give off a vibe, and this is on me 100%. I don't think I'm very good at being intimate with people. I'm good at being in front of people, in your face, in front of people, big crowds, that kind of thing, hosting, doing my thing. But one-on-one, especially with men, different story. I'm not fun and flirty. Like, I feel like Chelsea is much better at doing that kind of stuff. I'm not. I feel like I'm about the business, and I feel like I give that off. And so that intimate piece for me is something that I've always questioned. I'm like, how do I open myself up more? And I think as a woman who is strong and assertive, it's difficult, and it's probably an independent.
Yeah.
I think that's probably, on some level, there's some intimidation there probably for men, but at the same time, maybe it's just too masculine. You know what I mean? Maybe that's a part of my energy. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. I mean, you guys have just met me for like 20 minutes, but I'm curious. I'm open to some feedback.
I happen to know an intimacy coach, and her name is Lara, and I have her website
I met
here.
her somewhere.
Right?
I wish that she was here.
So I'm going to just introduce you.
Yeah.
Here she is.
I don't know.
Taking new clients.
I'm willing to use myself as a case study, right?
Nice.
Here. So what do you think about that?
The next episode, we'll just follow Robin's intimacy struggle.
It's my coaching sessions.
Unpacked your whole self. You know what's funny about that, Robin? I actually knew this about you because you talk about this on radio. I think I knew the singlehood. Yeah. I just had some memory flashbacks there. You know what I think? First noticing with you, like on that theme, are we open here? Like,
yeah, we're 100%.
Robin, a little bit.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Your brilliant sense of humor is also your best protection.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And I do use it as a protection mechanism. Yeah. I have used it in the past. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, just like all our self-protections, they're like they're a superpower as well as are defending, right? They can definitely have both, right? I don't get into the masculine feminine in my work unless a client actually wants to go down that road in that conversation. But I also hear what you're saying, because I think I hear that as a common experience. Like, if I'm an assertive woman and I have some independence and I kind of know what I want and I'm doing my thing and like are men turned, like, are they just sort of like, don't know what to do with that? Are they turned off by it? But I would imagine what I would predict or assert would be the missing is the courageous, brave sharing of self in conversations, right? The pieces you don't let people show.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that's like the thing to add in and to get practice.
Because I feel I can do that with my friends. Like, I feel like I have some really good, close, intimate friendships, but I feel like it's harder for me to do that and get to know somebody as a partner.
Of course, vulnerable.
Yeah, it's very vulnerable.
There's more on the table, right? There's more at risk there. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
It totally makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Just have a couple drinks next time. Just have a couple drinks.
Right?
I am also
that's
a
it.
coach.
It'll be different from
Drink
here
more.
on out.
Wait, hang on. I was a coach first. Okay, just so you know.
I am the drinking coach.
Okay,
Just have two
got it.
drinks
Okay,
and
that
you'll
makes
spill
sense.
more
That
about
makes total
yourself.
sense. So what for both of you, what would be your number one tip for me as, you know, as a person who wants to put themselves out there in the world, but maybe feels like she's doing it in not the best way?
She just said, be vulnerable.
But be vulnerable, like how? Like how, you know what I mean? Like what should I do to be more vulnerable?
Take your shirt off. I'm just kidding.
Good. Great tip. I don't know. I'm going to go more with Antonia and Lara over your tips.
Okay, that's
Chelsea
fair.
Smith.
That's fair.
Okay.
Yeah, good. Silent now.
Silence.
Did you want to go jump in first, Antonia?
No,
or would
no,
you
you
rather-
go. You go. You're on a roll. You go.
Okay.
I'll
So you cut out a little bit there, but I believe the request was kind of what would be the tip to run with if you're looking to be a little
what
more
would be
vulnerable?
like
what
yeah,
would actually-
exactly.
Yeah.
How do I make myself more vulnerable so that people maybe are more easily, you know, would want to approach me more and sit with me at the table and actually get to know me in a depth level? Like I am a person of depth, and I look for that in other people, and so I guess that's what I'm looking for. You know?
You know what comes up when you say that, and there's always lots of paths, right, to that. But what pops up into my mind when I hear you ask that question is kind of a practice comes to mind, two of them really. And one is with self, which is a really, I think, a simple one, although, you know, our experience of these practices aren't always simple, is to get in a practice of checking in about what your thoughts, your feelings, and your body sensations are on a regular basis. Just so you're aware of them, you can notice them. And also you'll notice they don't always all line up. They don't always agree with each other. So that's some self, I guess, courage to actually admit that, like that person just said something and that hurt. Or that person just said, I don't know, that guy just called me 2 seconds after the date and I know I'm not supposed to like it, but my heart rejoiced and I thought that was the most amazing thing ever. Admitting it to ourselves, right? Yeah. And then the piece around what I find can feel like because there's a gradient, right? We know when you support someone with what you're talking about, we're not going to shove you, like dump you in the deep end from the high dive board and be like, okay, go play with that. Good luck. Around the vulnerability. We want a kind of gradient to where you're at. But one practice that I know a lot of people have found really impactful is then, you know, from the thoughts, feeling, bodies, sensations, practice saying what is so in the moment. So you're on a date, you're sitting across from this guy and you're like, oh, I'm doing the thing I always do, which is maybe being funny and protecting myself, but also being funny because that's wonderful. But
Or asking about them.
yeah, you might
don't
just
ask
name that and be like, I'm sitting here across from you and I'm noticing that I'm whatever the thing is, I'm closing up, or I notice that I'm totally cracking joke. I don't know that you always do the jokes. It's an easy
I do
conversation.
You'd be right. Or for me too, it's like what Chelsea said, right? I'm asking all the questions. They're not asking me questions. I'm asking I feel like I'm doing an interview, I'm not being on a date, right?
Which isn't comfortable.
Right. Yeah, because you'd be really good at that for sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm great at it. I'm
totally
really good.
Yeah. So it might be just naming like what is so for you in the moment, and it might be like, oh, you know, I'm noticing like I'm a little bit nervous. Like I don't know how far everyone's going to choose their how far they'll go with this, but like I actually feel a little bit sick to my stomach right now, and I'm noticing that I'm going into jokes and I'm starting to ask you all kinds of questions. That means I'm a bit scared. And then like stop talking kind of thing and see what opens. What I find is that most often it'll shift the connection onto a whole other level because he is too, right? Yes. And who knows what conversation will come out of that. But the practice of you saying what is so in the moment is one step into authenticity and intimacy, right? Because you're admitting like, I'm scared shitless right now. I'm on a date. And does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's great advice.
And you're also not having to bear like your deepest, darkest fears and feelings, right? Conversation
Right.
1, because that's not necessarily going to be where you want to start.
No.
Yeah. And the
I
example
really want to have a baby with you. It's not the best opening line on a date.
Shoot! No wonder it hasn't been working.
and sometimes it can be as simple as like, oh, I'm just going to take a breath. I'm actually noticing I'm really nervous right now. And then just seeing where that goes. Because you're just being honest
that's a
about
good
where
one.
you're at.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it makes them comfortable too. They're like, oh, good. I'm nervous too, or something.
Because I'm really good at filling space and
Yeah.
time. Like I can easily do that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
for me to be allowed or allow myself to sit back and not
Mm-hmm.
fill the time is a place where that's how I know I'm comfortable with
Yeah.
somebody.
Well, yeah. And then imagine how hard it is to pursue you when there's not that space. It just kind of came to me there, right? Like, because you're just
Say
doing
that
your job.
again.
You're
Say that
doing your-
again. You just cut out a little bit.
Oh, I said, imagine how challenging it would be then to pursue you if there's not the space and maybe sometimes the quiet, right? Because again, I mean, I'm the same. I get nervous. I talk more and faster. Like it's literally my default, right? And so I can relate a little bit to what you're describing as your date experience. But imagine if we can slow down, breathe, and leave space for things to unfold. That changes the entire course of whether they're the person for you or not, whether they choose to pursue you or not is neither here nor there. You're creating the opportunity for that to happen and for them to show up how they want to and show interest in you and ask questions of you and get curious and maybe flirt a little, have a little bit of fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like it.
Nice.
And then there might be some exercises you add in just to make sure that you can breathe and not go automatically into the talk. Say if it was me, the talk.
Yeah.
Like some push-ups. I'll just get down and do some push-ups. do
You'll
some
be like, just give me a
exercise.
minute.
Okay, just some jumping jacks.
Just a
on
little
the side.
nervous. I'm going to do some jumping jacks.
It's fine. It's totally normal.
In the
That's what I would do
restaurant.
on a date.
That could be fun just to try once, just to see how it goes.
Very
If
athletic.
he joined you, it's a good match.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, like, that's funny.
That is fine. Antonia, did you want to add something?
No, I just love everything Lara said, and there's so much value in space, and you're right, because space is you allow the other person to be able to come into your circle, and for that you have to slow down. You think about the people that you're super comfortable with, your friends.
Yes.
Sometimes I'm sure with your friends you can go sometimes for a whole minute without talking, right? There's silence, and everybody's super comfortable with that. I think it's the same thing. And the beauty of creating space is then you allow the other person to come in, and then you can gauge and see, because somebody in front of you might not respond well to that. And then you know that in order to be vulnerable, you need to have a safe space also, right? So that whole play is where you gauge and where you start measuring how vulnerable can I be. Is the other person, it's a tango takes two people, right? Mm-hmm. So I think, and vulnerability is what makes you unique and extraordinary. It's all your specialness, if I may say, is in there. So you have to
Thank you. I think it's also my hair. It has its own Facebook page.
That's okay too.
There's that humor.
There's
Exactly.
Robin feeling uncomfortable.
I can't help it.
I love it.
I remember
Amazing.
dating someone or whatever. I'm going to call it dating because I don't know what we were doing in my early 20s. And being on the phone with him late at night, like the late night kind of phone call. And they actually reflected back to me that they really loved talking to me at night because I let myself be vulnerable. Like I kind of like sunk. I showed up completely different. Like kind of guess maybe it was in the comfort of my room and I'm kind of snuggled in my bed and on the phone. But they got to see a part of me that I never let them show during the daytime. And I'll never forget that because I was like totally true. And it was a really cool reflection to get. And so he wanted kind of in. And so he made a point of connecting with me that way more often because whatever all the reasons were, I did show up differently that way. Yeah. And it was a lot
more
softer,
nighttime calls.
more intimate. I shared more of myself. Yeah. It's kind of
I like
cool.
that. That's good.
Yeah.
And I'm going to turn the table towards the quiet person in this room, Chelsea.
It's Erin. Erin's Erin's not talking at all.
So Erin, Chelsea, you do extraordinary work with women, right? And I'm sure that you play on vulnerability also, which is, with a body. You can tell us what your take is on vulnerability and how to create that space that allows the purpose to blossom.
Also use humor.
That's right. The interviewee becomes the interviewer. Ooh. Good one, Antonia.
It was okay for you to be interviewed for once in your life. It's fine.
Good one, Antonia. Okay.
What was the question?
Oh, dear.
I'm sweating.
Stop deflating.
Show up as your best self. Show up as your best self.
Seriously, what was the question?
Tell us about
Antonia's got it.
Yeah, I've got it. I'm not going to let you go on that one,
I can
Chelsea.
see this. Time is up now. It's 15 minutes now. We got to wrap this up. Nope, Robin's shaking her
There's
head.
still time. There's still time. Okay, Antonia,
go.
please pose the question again to Chelsea
Yes,
Smith.
one more time.
Chelsea, would you share with us your experience about creating a space where women can become vulnerable and blossom from their vulnerability, which is what you do when you create boudoir photography? Please share.
So I will go back to my answer. Literally, is humor. We laugh in the studio to get rid of an uncomfortable, feeling awkward, feeling nervous or scared. We are laughing.
Yes.
I am making ridiculous jokes. I have a ridiculous fake laugh to get people to loosen up and they're comfortable. So we literally
Let's
use
hear
humor.
it. Can we hear that laugh?
Do you want to hear it?
Yeah,
It's really bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. Okay. That's what we do. And either people look at me like I'm a complete moron or they laugh because it's so ridiculous. And then I get the beautiful photos of a genuine laugh because they are laughing at me and I'm okay with that. And they're great. They're always my favorite photos.
That's really cool because to me, it's like you're moving energy and you're actually helping someone get in their body, which means they can be more present and authentic in themselves. That's so cool. And laughter is wonderful for that.
I have been in my own boudoir shoot and it doesn't matter how many of them you do, it's uncomfortable. It is nerve-wracking. You are standing there half naked. You have to pose without seeing yourself in a mirror. It's uncomfortable.
But
laughing makes it funny.
Truly one of the most vulnerable experiences anybody will ever have.
And also one of the most empowering ones afterwards when you did it. And you did a great job of it. And you look
see
amazing.
the photos and you say, Chelsea Smith is worth every penny.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
That's where my value comes in.
Yeah.
It's up there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I remember I used to dance before and after when I was first a coach and brand new. And so you get in your head and you get super nervous and scared about every new client. And I used to dance before and after every call. It got me present in my body and in my essence and joyful and playful and ready to be with somebody. It just worked. I mean, we all have our different things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should dance before a date.
Maybe. Interpretive dance on the date.
During the date.
During the date. That could be my exercise.
Yeah.
This could be your other show.
I think it should
I've
be.
been dating.
I think it should be on this show.
I think it'll be on this show, and
one.
we'll check back in a few weeks when I do some interpretive dance.
When she gets kicked out of restaurants.
Yeah, I'm really sorry about that in advance to anybody that's listening that owns a restaurant. Okay,
or
that's
that
fine.
goes on a date. Although I want to be in the restaurant to watch.
Ladies, this has been fantastic. Thank you for joining us. Can we share something very exciting that's happening? Okay,
super exciting.
Yeah.
So me, and a few other amazing ladies with Vintage Chic have put together this very exciting women's getaway weekend. And I have asked Antonia to join as one of the speakers. Lara, I didn't ask you because you live far away, but now that we're here, I'm going to throw it out. If you want to drive down, we'd also love to have you be a part of it as well. It's going to be a jam-packed weekend of different amazing women speakers.
Fun. When is it? Where is it? How do we join?
Yes.
I have all kinds of questions.
Important information.
Frequently asked questions.
Frequently asked. FAQ. Is that what that is? FAQ. FAQua?
Yeah.
FAQua. So it's going to be at the Souk Prestige Hotel. And it is going to be March 11th to 13th. And there's so much stuff that we have packed in with all these amazing women in business. And even just the swag bag itself is currently sitting at a value of $800.
You had me at swag
we're
bag.
Not right? I just love the word, the swag
I'm coming
bag.
just for that.
Just for the swag bag? Perfect.
She's not going to do a talk. She's just going to come for the bag and then go.
That's fine. So it's just going to be so fun and nothing to do with photography. It's just I'm going to be there joining in, and I will take pictures of everyone having fun. But it's just a weekend to relax, let go,
wonderful.
give yourself that space to just do your own thing, relax.
Awesome. How do we sign up, and when do we sign up? How?
You
frequently
can-
asked questions.
Okay, you're putting me on the spot. Can't handle it. You can send me an email, chelsea@vintagechicportrait.com. You can message me on Facebook is usually my favorite way. You can just find me on Facebook.
Yeah, you're a
Vintage Chic
messenger
Portrait.
person, I
I
think.
am, yes,
Yeah.
I am. Or texting. Email is literally the worst, as you both have found out by emailing me with no response ever.
I learned finally.
Yeah. So Facebook and texting.
And will it
the
be up on
best.
the Vintage Chic website as well? We're putting it up there?
I wasn't going to be, no.
Okay. So delete that part.
Delete that part. But feel free to check out the website.
The answer is no. Under
The
that
Paris
frequently asked
trip
questions,
is up
no.
on our website.
Oh, that's true.
There.
Yeah, you gotta go in there and
And
check
that
that
one
out,
is fun as well.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so this is going to be super exciting, and I'm very happy to have Antonia joining us to.
Yay.
One of the topics is how to feel empowered in your own life.
I love it.
So,
I'm very, 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 very excited. I cannot wait.
yay. Me too. I'm very excited as well. So, Laura, check your calendar. Let me know if you want
I will
in
follow
on
up
this.
with you about that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yes.
Perfect.
Ladies,
Great.
this has been amazing.
So
if
fun.
people need some help or they want to find that help within themselves, we see that during this conversation.
Yeah.
How do they find both of you? Antonia, let's start with you.
On my website, which is antoniamedeiros.com, they can also find me on Facebook and on Instagram. It's all Antonia Medeiros Life Coaching, and I am waiting for them, ready to greet them.
Good. Ready and waiting. Good. And Laura, your info?
Yeah, so website is my name, Lara. It was lara.gregory.coaching.com. I believe my Instagram is also Lara Gregory Coaching. You can tell I'm not super Instagrammy. I'm old.
Me neither.
Facebook is just my name, Lara Gregory. Email, so you can connect me through any of those. I'm good with Messenger. I do check messages on all those platforms. And so you can message me directly on website, Instagram, or Facebook, or LinkedIn. And I also have a phone number, business phone number, 778-717-7217. I'm amazed I got that
That's a
right.
lot of sevens.
I know. And then lara.gregory. No, wait. I think it's just Lara. I don't know. I have 4 emails.
All the information will be in the write-up
Perfect.
on the podcast.
Yeah,
so
we're
And I
gonna
was
put it
like,
there.
I have 4 emails and I'm confusing them in my mind right now.
Too many
Oh,
emails.
good. Too many.
Too many emails.
I was confused at the sevens in your phone number. There's a lot.
Yeah, we'll put all the
put it
links
all
up.
in.
On,
That was for the
on
numbers people.
That's true. There are numbers
That's
people.
true.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
true.
Can I just add something important also
course.
for people who are still a little hesitant? And Lara, I know you do the same thing than me. We offer a 30-minute free discovery session for anybody that comes our way. It's 30 minutes, it's free, and it's a great way for them to meet the coach that they want to work with, me or Lara, and then they can understand what it's about and how we can help them. So there's no obligation for anything. There's no risk. And, like I say on my website, sometimes 10 seconds of bravery can completely change your life.
Yeah.
Nice. Robin's
Yeah.
on her phone booking it already.
I'm booking it.
Yeah,
and I'm also
absolutely.
doing some push-ups.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why you
Jumping
can't see me.
jacks.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't. Again, it's an opportunity to see if it's a good match and if what we offer can actually support you. I personally don't do any kind of hard sales at the end of it. I actually get consent for a sales conversation after the fact. So I think sometimes people shy away because they're waiting to get sold. So it's more around, for me, it's more around exploring and just seeing where you might go with the work and what's possible, and are we a good match to do it together.
Absolutely.
And now we know that Laura dances before and after the phone call, which is also fun to envision as well. I like
So
that.
please do.
Yeah,
Please
so
do.
phone her just to give her a
And
dance.
although I am in Parksville, just because you brought that up, Chelsea, I'm based in Parksville right now. I do the in-person work I do travel from Victoria to Campbell River for that. So
Okay, awesome.
That span is available. Yeah, and of course,
Perfect.
other parts of the work I do is online through video calls. So yeah,
Nice.
just wouldn't want people
Cool.
to shut it out because they think I'm
No.
too far away.
No, she's mobile, everybody.
that's awesome.
Mobile. Amazing. Cool. Well, we will let you guys get back to your day, and thank you so much for being here. It was great. Did you learn
Thank
something,
you.
Robin?
I learned loads of things, and I'm
Good.
also a certified coach. Right? So
Right.
that's perfect.
Great.
Certified
So-
coach by Robin Certification.
Yeah. So wait for her website to come out.
Yeah, it's coming up
later.
soon.
Yeah.
Okay,
Great.
That's fine. I'm just going to attach it to both of yours.
Fair enough, Robin. Perfect. On that note, we'll let you guys go. Back
Thank
to
you.
your jobs.
Thanks, both
Thank
of
you
you.
so much
guys.
to both of you. It was
Was
wonderful.
Don't Mind If We Do is brought to you by Vintage Chic Portrait, helping everyday women feel beautiful in their own skin.
Thanks for listening to Don't Mind If We Do. If you loved it, please share this episode with a friend and follow us and check us out on Facebook, and we'll follow you back. As long as you don't mind if we do.
You probably won't mind. You'll probably like it.